This right here is MG's most important new car of 2024, the new MG3 Hybrid. And this generation is a bit more expensive, but it does come with more equipment, more space, and more safety. So in this review, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the new MG3. Let's start off with a brief overview about the MG3. So it has a price range from just under $24,000 going up to $25,990 for the Essence, whereas the hybrid versions are priced from $27,990 and just under $30,000 for this top spec Essence trim, which is the variant I am featuring in the video. And in terms of rivals, the MG3 is the type of car that competes with the Toyota Yaris Hybrid, which is priced from $28,500. And it's also worth looking at the new Suzuki Swift Hybrid, which I have reviewed, and you can see that video by clicking on the link down in the description below. Right, let's now move on to the design. So the color of this example is finished off in brilliant blue metallic, and if you don't like the color of this, there are 7 other external colors to pick from. 3 of them are a no-cost option, and the other 4 are $500 each. And in terms of the headlights, as standard on the Excite, that features halogen headlights, whereas on this Essence trim, you get projector LED headlights, along with automatic high beam assist, LED DRLs up the top here. However, it is worth mentioning that you still get halogen bulbs for the indicators. And moving towards the lower section, there is a big large grille along with these gloss black inserts, additional styling vents, MG badge up the top here, and finally down the bottom you get a carbon themed front splitter. And now moving towards the side view of the MG3, as you can see, this is sitting on 16-inch alloy wheels that are finished off in gloss black along with these aluminium inserts. No privacy glass on any of the model grades. However, specific to the Essence, you get automatic electric folding mirrors along with an electric power sliding and tilt sunroof, whereas on the standard Excite, those 2 features are not included. And moving towards the rear design of the MG3 Hybrid, from the back we've got halogen rear tail lights, and on the right hand side an MG3 Hybrid badge along with an MG badge in the center, and down the bottom a plastic styled rear diffuser. Let's now move on to the cabin. So before you climb inside, this car features a remote key fob along with keyless entry on this Essence trim, and finally a push start power button. And if we move on to the design, this is a big step forward in comparison with the previous MG3, and overall for a car on this price point and amongst its main rivals, it looks very premium. And in terms of the materials, on the top surface of the doors that is hard plastic, even on the lower sections, but you do get soft padding where you rest your elbow, and on the dashboard hard plastic even on the lower section, but you do get this soft padding towards the center along with this interesting design pattern. And finally, looking towards the center, again hard plastic, but you do get a soft to the touch armrest. There is also a leather wrapped steering wheel, and in regards to comfort, the steering only offers tilt adjustment, not reach. However, both the front row seats are finished off in part faux leather along with fabric trim, whereas on the Essence you get plain fabric, and they both also offer plenty of manual adjustment. And finally, there is single zone climate control, which is built in within this infotainment system, which brings me on to technology. So it all runs off this 10.25-inch touchscreen. You also get physical buttons down the bottom, as well as some buttons on the steering wheel as well. And this is what the main menu looks like. So these are all your icons, and you've also got shortcuts on the right hand side. And in terms of features, this has AM and FM radio, along with a 6-speaker sound system, USB video, USB and Bluetooth connectivity. Now when you step up to this Essence trim, not only you're getting inbuilt satellite navigation with 3D mapping, and this is what that looks like on the screen, you also get DAB digital radio, along with the ability to connect this car with your smartphone with MG's app, so you can lock and unlock the doors, locate the car, and access a wide range of features. Voice control, which doesn't actually work unless if you are connected to smartphone mirroring, and in addition to that you also get wired Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. This is what Apple CarPlay looks like, and as you can see it takes up the full screen. And moving on to safety and assistance, if I flick it into reverse, on this Essence trim it features a 360-degree camera with multi-angle views, and you've also got the ability to go into a 3D mode. In addition to that, there's also rear parking sensors along with a rear cross traffic alert, and up the top here, autonomous emergency braking. You also get blind spot monitoring on the wing mirrors, along with a lane keeping assistant with a steering assist. So that means the MG3 has the ability to steer itself within its lane. And if we move towards the center, on the top section is speed sign recognition. and on the left hand side shows driver assistance, as well as a menu on the right hand side you can configure. If I press this button, it shows you things like your service information, tire pressure monitoring, fuel consumption, power information, and finally an energy flow. And you can also configure the drive mode, so pressing this button you can swap it from eco, normal and sport. And this hybrid version also comes with regenerative braking, which you can configure within the infotainment. And lastly, practicality. So up the top here there is a sunglasses holder, and if we look towards the passenger side there is a decent sized glove box, and towards the center 2 small cup holders and a spot here for a mobile phone. There is also a 12-volt socket, USB-C and USB-A charging, and towards this section you get a decent sized glove box. And you can also slide this section open or remove it entirely, and as you can see that reveals adjustable storage. And there is also a USB-A port up here for a dash camera. And finally, on the doors, decent door bin pockets that could also fit a bottle of water. Let's now move on to the back seat. So this front row seat is set in my driving position, and from what we can see I've got a decent amount of knee room. Toe room is also pretty good, and if I sit up straight I've also got a good amount of headroom. It is worth mentioning that you don't get a fold down armrest like on some other rivals, but overall this is the most spacious small car in this segment. And if I just move over to the middle section, again good knee room, headroom is okay, and toe room is pretty good as well. You also get directional air vents along with USB Type A, a spot down the bottom for a mobile phone, and behind the front row seats mat pockets, and on the doors decent door bin storage that could also fit a small bottle of water. And finally, for baby seats, these 2 outboard seats are ISOFIX compatible, and right behind me there are 3 top tether points. Right, moving on to the boot space. So if I just open up the tailgate, it reveals 293 litres of boot capacity, which makes it large enough for 2 carry-on suitcases. And you've also got additional tie-down points, and on the left-hand side an LED light, along with a shopping bag hook on the right-hand side. It is worth noting, however, that there is a bit of a low lip here, which is common on many of its rivals. And whilst you can drop down the second row, it isn't a split folding setup like on some rivals. So if you've got a passenger sitting in the back seat, and if you want to carry a long item, whether that matters to you or not, that is something you do not have the ability to do. And compared with the standard non-hybrid version of the MG3, which features a space saver spare wheel, underneath the floor of this hybrid version is a tyre repair kit, which means the MG3 hybrid sits on run flat tyres. Right, moving on to the powertrain. So under the bonnet of the MG3 hybrid features a 1.5 litre non-turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine, but this being the hybrid version, you get an electric motor generator up the front here, along with a battery pack towards the rear of the car. And all this is paired to a 3-speed automatic opposed to a CVT that sends all of its power to the front wheels. And this version of the MG combined with the hybrid system produces double the power and torque compared to the standard non-hybrid version, so 155 kilowatts and 250 newton meters of torque. And of course this version is more efficient with a claimed fuel consumption reading of 4.3 litres per 100, whereas I saw on my screen with a mixture of city, freeway and country driving around 5 litres per 100. And finally, this version of the MG3 is also available with a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, along with a 7-year battery warranty. Just a quick update, MG Australia now offers a 10-year 250 kilometre warranty. There are conditions, so I'll put a link down in the description below, so check that out if that applies to you. So with all the specifications out of the way, let's now take it out for a drive. Okay, behind the wheel inside the MG3 hybrid, so what is it like? Well, first up, visibility. I can clearly see what's in front of me. I've also got good side vision, decent sized wing mirrors, and good rear visibility as well. You also get a gear selector dial opposed to a gear shifter. So what is this like to drive at lower speeds? Well, as you can see of the camera footage, the suspension, whilst it may come across as being on the soft side, I think it handles bumpy roads like this quite well. This also has good handling for a car in the segment, and the steering wheel is also quite big, which some journalists don't like, but I quite like the fact that it is large in size. And the brakes are on the soft side, and you do have energy regeneration braking, so you can configure that low, medium and high, so therefore you are less likely to use the brakes in comparison with the standard petrol version. You do hear a bit of noise in the cabin, so it isn't as well insulated probably as some other European rivals. And in regards to safety and assistance, The speed sign recognition can be quite temperamental, like in most other cars. And whilst the adaptive cruise control worked fine on the freeway, I did find the lane centering wasn't the best system I ever came across. But again, for a car in this price point, at least you have it, and it works fairly fine. So the standard MG3 petrol is a little bit slow and underpowered, but there is one big difference in comparison with the standard petrol version, and that is performance, which this hybrid version produces double the power and torque. So when you put your foot down, I'll just speed up a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Let's try that again, swapping it from Eco, Normal and Sport. So here we go. $60 and 100, so that gives you an idea of how quick this little car is. So as you can see, when the hybrid powertrain kicks in, it does throw you back into your seat. It was never intended to be a sports car, but I've really enjoyed my time behind the wheel, especially taking it down to barrel. And it's also very playful, even around the twisty sections. But when you do drive normally, it is pretty responsive at all times when you need it to be. So for overtaking, especially at high speeds, you shouldn't have any issue at all. So with my driving impressions out of the way, let's now wrap up with a verdict. So what is my final verdict on the new MG3 Hybrid? Well, compared with the previous MG3, not only this is a big step up in terms of size, you're getting more equipment, more safety, and it is definitely something I would personally recommend amongst its main rivals, especially in Essence trim and this hybrid powertrain, because not only it is more efficient, it's also better to drive. But as always, let me know what you think of my verdict down in the comment section below. And if you've gained value from this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, and of course I will see you in the next film. Thanks for watching.